Regulations of medical devices. Table of contents. Introduction. Regulations. European Medicines Agency. Placing a medical device on the market. Manufacturer's incident reporting procedure. References. Introduction. European Union has laid down regulations on medical devices which are directly applicable throughout the EU. Medical Device Regulation. In vitro diagnostic medical devices regulation. Medical device regulations in EU. Improve the quality, safety, and reliability of medical devices. Strengthen transparency and information for patients and enhance vigilance and market surveillance. Regulations. Medical Device Regulation. This regulation lays down rules concerning the placing on the market, making available on the market or putting into service of medical devices for human use and accessories for such devices in the Union. This regulation also applies to clinical investigations concerning such medical devices and accessories conducted in the Union. Devices with both a medical and a non-medical intended purpose shall fulfill cumulatively the requirements applicable to devices with an intended medical purpose and those applicable to devices without an intended medical purpose. This regulation does not apply to in vitro diagnostic medical devices covered by regulation. In vitro diagnostic medical devices regulation. Directive 98/79/EC of the European Parliament and of the Council constitutes the Union regulatory framework for in vitro diagnostic medical devices. However, a fundamental revision of that directive is needed to establish a robust, transparent, predictable and sustainable regulatory framework for in vitro diagnostic medical devices which ensures a high level of safety and health whilst supporting innovation. This regulation aims to ensure the smooth functioning of the internal market as regards in vitro diagnostic medical devices, taking as a base a high level of protection of health for patients and users, and taking into account the small and medium-sized enterprises that are active in this sector. At the same time, this regulation sets high standards of quality and safety for in vitro diagnostic medical devices in order to meet common safety concerns as regards such products. European Medicines Agency. The European Medicines Agency is a decentralized agency of the European Union. It is responsible for the scientific evaluation, supervision, and safety monitoring of medicines. European Medicines Agency's mission is to foster scientific excellence in the evaluation and supervision of medicines, for the benefit of public and animal health in the EU. Placing a medical device on the market. Medical devices can be placed on the market or put into service which conform with existing EU regulations. The manufacturer must be able to establish new product safety, suitability for intended use, performance, and reliability before placing it on the market. The manufacturer must issue an EU declaration of conformity and affix the CE marking to the appliance to demonstrate compliance. The CE marking shows that a product meets all its essential requirements, complies with all the requirements laid down in the applicable directives, has been assessed in accordance with these requirements. The manufacturer must draw up the required documentation to enable to demonstrate that the apparatus meets the general safety and performance requirements. To be considered a medical device, the manufacturer must demonstrate that the intended use of the device complies with the definitions given in the regulations. The conformity assessment usually includes an audit of the manufacturer's quality system and, depending on the type of equipment, a review of the manufacturer's technical documentation on the safety and performance of the equipment. EU member states designate accredited, notified bodies to carry out conformity assessments. Special device groups, software. The designation of software as a medical device or in vitro diagnostic (IVD) device almost invariably requires a case-by-case assessment. This is the responsibility of the software manufacturer. Guidance on definition and classification can be found in the EU MDCG 2019-11 and in the software guidelines issued by certain medical device regulatory authorities. Guidance on the classification of IVDs under the regulation can be found in the MDCG 2020-16. As a rule, all software that controls a device or influences the use of a device must be classified in the same category as the device. The risk classification of medical software is guided by Classification Rule 11 of the regulation. For software that is considered an IVD device, the classification follows the corresponding principles of the IVD Directive or the classification rules in Annex 8 of the IVD regulation. Manufacturer's Incident Reporting Procedure. Incident is defined as follows: events which have caused or could have caused a risk to the health of a patient, user, or other person, resulting from characteristics: malfunction or deterioration of performance, inadequate labeling, insufficient or incorrect instructions for use of a medical device. The procedure for reporting medical device incidents varies depending on the regulatory framework under which the device is placed on the market. The Manufacturer Incident Report form published by the Commission must be used for all manufacturer incident reports, and the requirement to use the International Medical Device Regulations Forum codes also applies to all devices regardless of the regulatory basis.